Grigori Rasputin, a name that is echoed through the annals of history, shrouded in both reverence and revulsion. The name itself evokes images of mystery and intrigue. Rasputin's life was a tapestry woven with threads of mysticism, scandal, and power. Born a peasant in Siberia in 1869, Rasputin's early life was shrouded in controversy. His humble beginnings in the remote village of Polko were marked by hardship and a search for spiritual meaning. He was a man of contradictions, a self-proclaimed holy man with a penchant for debauchery. His journey from a simple peasant to a figure of immense influence was anything but straightforward. He was a wandering mystic who claimed to possess the power to heal the sick. His reputation as a healer and a man of God spread far and wide, drawing both followers and skeptics. This reputation, whether deserved or not, would be his ticket to the highest echelons of Russian society. The allure of his supposed healing powers and spiritual insights captivated many, including those in the royal court. In 1905, Rasputin arrived in St. Petersburg, the capital of Imperial Russia. The city with its grandeur and opulence was a stark contrast to his humble beginnings. The city was a swirling vortex of political unrest and social upheaval. The Russian Empire was on the brink of monumental change, and Rasputin's arrival added another layer to the already complex tapestry of the time. Tsar Nicholas II, the last emperor of Russia, and his wife Empress Alexandra were desperate for anyone to heal their ailing son, Alexei. The young heir to the throne suffered from hemophilia, a rare and incurable blood disorder. Hemophilia, a condition that prevents blood from clotting properly, meant that even a minor injury could be life-threatening. For Lei, the royal family's desperation for a cure or even semblance of relief was palpable. It was then that Rasputin entered their lives. His arrival at the royal court was met with a mix of hope and skepticism. He claimed to possess the power to heal through prayer and his unique brand of spiritualism. His methods were unconventional, and his presence was both magnetic and unsettling to the astonishment of the royal court. Rasputin seemed to be able to ease Alexei's suffering. His influence over the boy's health brought him closer to the royal family, solidifying his position within their inner circle. He became an indispensable figure in the lives of the Tsar and Tsarina, a trusted advisor and confidant. Rasputin's rise to power was meteoric, and his presence would leave an indelible mark on the history of Russia. As Rasputin's influence over the royal family grew, his presence became a subject of intense debate and controversy within the Russian Empire. So too did the resentment and suspicion surrounding him. The nobles and aristocrats who had long held sway over the court found themselves increasingly sidelined by this enigmatic figure. The Russian aristocracy, already wary of his peasant origins and unorthodox ways, began to view him as a dangerous interloper. They couldn't fathom how a man of such humble beginnings could wield so much power and influence over the Tsar and Tsarina. Rumors of his debauchery and scandalous behavior spread like wildfire through the court. Whispers of late-night escapades and secretive meetings only fueled the fire of discontent. He was accused of everything from sexual impropriety to political manipulation. His detractors painted him as a puppet master, pulling the strings of the royal family for his own gain. His enemies whispered that he was a charlatan, a fraud who was taking advantage of the Tsar and Tsarina's desperation. They believed he was exploiting their fears and insecurities to cement his own position of power. They saw him as a threat to the stability of the empire, a dark force whispering poison into the ears of the monarchs. To them, Rasputin was not just a personal threat, but a national one, endangering the very fabric of Russian society. The Empress Alexandra, however, remained fiercely loyal to Rasputin. She believed in his spiritual powers and saw him as a divine protector sent to safeguard her family. She saw him as a holy man, a savior who held the fate of a beloved son in his hands. Her unwavering faith in Rasputin was rooted in her desperation to save a son who suffered from hemophilia. She defended him against all accusations, dismissing his critics as jealous and power-hungry to her. Rasputin was a beacon of hope in a sea of uncertainty and turmoil. This unwavering support only served to further alienate the court and the Russian people from their rulers. The more Alexander defended Rasputin, the more isolated the royal family became, deepening the chasm between the monarchy and its subjects. The tension within the court grew palpable, with factions forming and loyalties being tested. Rasputin's presence had become a lightning rod for all the underlying issues plaguing the Russian Empire, setting the stage for the dramatic events that were soon to unfold. By 1916, Russia was in turmoil. The country was grappling with immense internal strife, and the streets were filled with unrest and uncertainty. The Russian Empire was teetering on the edge of a precipice, with its people suffering from the ravages of war and economic hardship. World War I was raging, and the Russian military was deeply entrenched in a brutal and exhausting conflict. The soldiers, weary and demoralized, faced unimaginable horrors on the front lines while back home. Their families struggled to survive. The country was on the brink of collapse. Famine and poverty were widespread, and the morale of the Russian people was at an all-time low. The dire situation called for strong leadership, but the Tsar was far from the capital. The Tsar was away at the front, leaving Alexandra and Rasputin effectively in charge of the government. Serena Alexandra, heavily influenced by Rasputin, made decisions that many believed were detrimental to the nation. The aristocracy, convinced that Rasputin was leading the country to ruin, decided that something had to be done. They saw Rasputin as a malevolent force, a dark force that needed to be eradicated to save Russia from complete disaster. A conspiracy was hatched to eliminate the Mad Monk once and for all. In secret meetings, the plotters discussed their plans, knowing that failure was not an option. The fate of the empire, they believed, rested on their success. The plot was led by Prince Felixov, a member of the Tsar's extended family, and Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, the Tsar's cousin. Both men were determined and resolute, believing that their actions would be seen as a necessary evil. They were joined by a group of like-minded nobles, all united in their belief that Rasputin's death was necessary to save Russia. These conspirators, driven by a mix of fear, desperation, and patriotism, set their plan into motion, hoping to change the course of history. The conspirators decided to lure Rasputin to the Mocha Palace Yusuf Pov's opulent residence. Under the pretense of a social visit, they prepared a feast, lacing the cakes and wine with cyanide, a deadly poison. On the night of December 30th, 1916, Rasputin arrived at the palace, seemingly oblivious to the danger that awaited him. The stories of his immortality are likely the product of exaggeration and wishful thinking. The fall of the house of Romanov, Rasputin's assassination, while intended to save Russia, ultimately had the opposite effect. The assassination also further alienated the Tsar from the Russian people, paving the way for the Bolshevik Revolution and the fall of the Romanov dynasty in 1917. Rasputin's shadow, legacy, and legend. Grigori Rasputin's life and death remain one of the most intriguing and enduring mysteries of the 20th century. He was a complex and contradictory figure, a man who was both revered and reviled. He was a peasant who rose to a position of immense power only to be brought down by a web of intrigue and violence. His legacy continues to fascinate and inspire, fueled by countless books, films, and documentaries that have attempted to unravel the enigma that was Rasputin. He remains a potent symbol of the excesses and decadence of Imperial Russia, a cautionary tale of the corrupting influence of power. If you liked our video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel.